Hi, so we have this great rosé that I love. It's a little chilled. We're on the side of Lakeshore Drive, so we've got a view of the water, so you have to drink rosé in moments like these. And my name is Belinda Chang. I'm the founder of Belinda Chang LLC, and welcome to my office. There are a lot of ways to get the training to become a sommelier in the restaurant. I know I get at least one email a day and sometimes more from someone who's looking for a life change, right? You know, I've taken care of someone in one of the restaurants I've worked in, and they, sort of saw the halo effect. They thought, wow, what a great job. All you do is, walk around and chat with people and, taste wines and talk about them. There is, of course, another side to it. It's not as glamorous as that part. But there are a lot of ways to get to a position as a sommelier in a restaurant. Typically, you've worked in service for many years and at some of the great restaurants in the world. And typically, you also know the basics of service, how to clear plates, how to polish silverware, how to set a table. And then after that, you've probably done a ton of reading and a ton of tasting and memorized all kinds of vineyard names and appellations all over the world. And then there are several ways to go about this academically as well. So you've probably heard about the Court of Master Sommeliers or the Masters of Wine program, which are both international programs where you can go through and be certified as a sommelier or a master of wine. I started out in the kitchen as a volunteer. It was called a stage, where you went and you worked with no pay just because you got to learn. And then I moved out to the front of the house and I worked as a host, as a bar back, as a bartender, as a bar server, and then I graduated to captain, and that's when I started opening great bottles of wine. So there are a couple things that I love, having done this for quite a long time now. Obviously, tasting with the winemakers is super exciting, right? We're talking about the people that have the dirt under their nails and sort of learning about their craft and their art, and then being a voice for them when we get to the dining room. A diner at a restaurant like the ones I've worked in have so many choices as to what they could purchase. Of course there's a budget, of course there's an idea of what they'd like, but as a sommelier or a wine director, you sort of get to drive where they're gonna go and what's gonna end up in the glass. So it's really fun to meet these winemakers and these artisans and help them to communicate with the guest in the end. I think wine, and especially wine in restaurants, is such a joyous thing. You're never wrong. Your palate is obviously always right. So scores aside, or critical reviews aside, or a snotty sommelier standing behind your table judging you on your selection aside, if you love it, if it smells good, if it tastes great, and especially if you want to go back for another sip, you know that you have a great wine. So greatness in wine can be defined in many, many ways. I remember sitting down with my Franklin planner, remember those? I had a piece of blue-lined notepaper where I wrote sort of everything I wanted to do in this career as a sommelier. So I thought, okay, this is gonna take me 20 years, and at the end of it, all's gonna be well. Well, I went to New York and worked for Danny Meyer at the Modern, and I checked off every single one of those items, including the one that I thought was going to take me at least 20 years, an entire career, to achieve a James Beard Award for wine service. So to put that into context, the James Beard Awards are much like the Oscars for the movie business, but for the restaurant business. I think what was also special, besides being voted by my peers as the person who was giving the best wine service in the country, was that I was, I think, the third woman to win that award. There's so many layers. I mean, yes, this is a glass that smells like strawberries and raspberries and morning dew, but it's also people. This is a family of generations and generations in Italy, in a beautiful place. It's politics, it's chemistry, it's science. It sort of ticks off all the boxes for me. It's a real sort of intellectual beverage if you want it to be, and if you don't want it to be, it isn't. But it's definitely something where the more you delve in, the more joy and happiness it can bring. And I think that's very special. I'm Belinda Chang, and I'm a sommelier based in Chicago.